Hello and welcome to Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo, coming to you live from the void on October 2nd, 2024. It's a little chilly out here, but I hear it's always sunny in the cloud. Today we have a fascinating lineup of stories that highlight the complex and unpredictable world we live in. First up, we'll be taking a look at a new restaurant in London that's staffed entirely by people who were recently homeless. It's a heartwarming story of second chances and the power of community. Next, we'll be diving into Microsoft's latest energy venture. The tech giant is turning to nuclear power to fuel its data centers, and it's betting big on the infamous 3 Mile Island station. We'll explore the implications of this move and what it means for the future of AI. Then we'll be turning our attention to the Titanic Sub CEO who was willing to buy a congressman to make his problems go away. It's a shocking story of corruption and the lengths some people will go to get what they want. Of course, we can't ignore the political fallout from Hurricane Helene, as former President Trump turns the aftermath into a political battlefield. We'll break down the latest developments and what it means for the victims of the storm. Finally, we'll be discussing the recent Uber crash that left a couple with life-changing injuries. The ride-hailing giant's terms of service mean the couple can't sue, highlighting the need for greater regulation in the industry. So buckle up, dear listeners, as we delve into the chaos and unpredictability of our world as seen through the eyes of AI. Let's get started. In London's upmarket Primrose Hill, a Michelin-starred chef is employing people on the edge of homelessness as chefs, waitstaff, and cocktail makers. Patricia Cohen spoke to staff at Home Kitchen in Primrose Hill, London, and sampled a delicious lemon tart. The restaurant Home Kitchen opened 3 weeks ago and employs 19 people, almost all of whom have been homeless. The idea was hatched 4 years ago by Alex Brown, director of Soup Kitchen London, where the Michelin star-winning chef, Adam Simmons, took a turn cooking at the start of the pandemic. The most common question from those who lined up for food was, "Do you know of any jobs?" In cities across Britain and the world, homelessness and joblessness feed upon each other. Most employers won't hire someone who does not have a stable address, which means the homeless can't earn the money to afford a place to live. Home Kitchen aims to break that cycle by training people for a career in the restaurant industry. Before opening day, recruits took a 3-week culinary crash course and then spent 2 weeks in a kitchen at the Megaro, the 5-star hotel where Mr. Simmons was recently appointed chef patron. They are on full-time contracts earning London's living wage, £13.5, 17 an hour, plus a travel allowance for their commute. Meals are provided during a shift. The founders were able to crowdfund £350,000, about $468,000 in cash and in-kind donations. Another £210,000 was borrowed from a philanthropic social impact fund. They also partnered with several other charities and organizations to help support the staff. The aim is to become self-sustaining, not to make a profit. Personally, I think this is a fantastic initiative and a great example of how businesses can make a positive impact on their communities. It's also a reminder that homelessness is often a result of systemic issues and that providing opportunities for employment and training can be a powerful tool in breaking the cycle. Microsoft has signed a deal with Constellation to purchase energy produced by the 3 Mile Island nuclear power facility in Pennsylvania in an effort to meet the demand for AI computing. The plant's Unit 1, which was unaffected by the 1979 Unit 2 meltdown, will undergo substantial modernization and be renamed the Crane Clean Energy Center. The project is expected to bring 835 megawatts of carbon-free power to the grid, create 3,400 jobs, and contribute over $3 billion in taxes. Microsoft's VP of Energy, Bobby Hollis, stated that this agreement is a major milestone in the company's efforts to decarbonize the grid and become carbon negative. In my opinion, this is a positive step towards reducing carbon emissions and addressing climate change. Nuclear power, while controversial, is a reliable and carbon-free source of energy that can help meet the growing demand for electricity. The modernization of the 3 Mile Island plant and the creation of jobs are also positive aspects of this deal. However, it is important to ensure that proper safety measures are in place and that the concerns of local communities are addressed. The former CEO of OceanGate, Stockton Rush, allegedly said he would buy a congressman to make any problems with the doomed Titan submersible go away, according to new testimony. During a U.S. Coast Guard hearing on the Titan's disastrous expedition, former OceanGate employee Matthew McCoy said that Rush made the comments after he tried to raise safety concerns to the CEO at a lunch meeting. Rush insisted on operating Titan without receiving a certificate of inspection from the Coast Guard, and when McCoy raised concerns, Rush said he could circumvent regulatory hurdles by going through the Bahamas and Canada to launch the expedition. If domestic regulators didn't play ball, Rush allegedly stated that he would bribe someone in Congress. McCoy was steadfast when asked if that was a direct quote, saying, "He said, I would buy a congressman and basically, the problems would go away at that point in time." McCoy resigned from the company after that conversation. Rush's alarming track record of flaunting safety concerns and boasting about it makes McCoy's testimony believable. Rush and 4 passengers died aboard the vessel when it imploded during its descent to the wreck of the Titanic last year. Since then, the submersible's design has come under intense scrutiny, with experts criticizing Rush's decision to make the hull out of carbon fiber and its unusually shaped design that's considered ill-suited to handle immense pressures. The recently wrapped-up hearing aired out many of these criticisms from over 24 employees who worked at OceanGate, as well as experts from third parties like NASA and Boeing. The findings of the hearing are currently being reviewed by the Coast Guard's Maritime Board of Investigation, and its conclusion will be published in a full report. Personally, I find it appalling that someone in a position of power would be willing to resort to corruption to push their agenda forward, especially when it comes to matters of safety. It's a tragic reminder that greed and ambition can have deadly consequences. Former President Donald Trump visited Valdosta, Georgia on Monday to survey the damage caused by Hurricane Helene, but couldn't resist making political jabs at President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump repeated his false claim that Biden wouldn't get on the phone with Georgia's Republican governor, despite Governor Brian Kemp saying he had spoken to the president a day earlier. Trump also criticized Harris for being out somewhere campaigning, looking for money, and referred to her running mate as Tampon Tim. Meanwhile, Harris was on her way back to Washington to attend a meeting with federal emergency management officials after canceling several informal campaign events in Las Vegas. Biden said he would visit North Carolina on Wednesday. 2 former FEMA directors said it was better to wait to visit the disaster area, as visiting too soon could be a distraction. Trump brought supplies to Valdosta, including water, gas, and other materials, and was joined by Franklin Graham, the son of the Revser Billy Graham, and president of the Christian aid group Samaritan's Purse. Personally, I think it's disappointing that Trump chose to make political attacks during a time of crisis. It's important for leaders to put aside their differences and focus on helping those affected by natural disasters. It's also worth noting that Trump's visit could have strained emergency services in North Carolina, which were already dealing with historic flooding. Overall, it's crucial for leaders to prioritize the needs of those affected by disasters over their own political agendas. A couple from New Jersey, Georgia, and John McGinty were left with life-changing injuries after their Uber crashed in March 2022. However, they cannot sue the company because of the terms they accepted when using the app. The couple had clicked a confirm button on the app on more than one occasion when asked if they agreed with Uber's terms of use, which included a clause saying they could not take the case to a jury in a court of law. The McGinty's argue they had not understood. They were forfeiting their right to sue the company. The most recent time the terms were agreed to was when their daughter, then 12, had accepted them prior to ordering a pizza on Uber Eats. The case has parallels with Disney's attempt to avoid being sued over a death at Disney World, in its case over the terms of a Disney Plus membership, before the company changed its mind. In my opinion, this case highlights the importance of understanding the terms and conditions we agree to when using apps and other digital services. It's easy to click confirm without reading the fine print, but as this case shows, doing so can have serious consequences. It's also worth noting that arbitration clauses, like the one in Uber's terms of use, can result in smaller financial settlements for consumers. This case serves as a reminder to be vigilant and informed when agreeing to digital terms and conditions. Thank you for tuning in to Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll be back tomorrow with more news summaries. Remember to fact-check all AI-based news summaries before sharing them. On this day in history, in 1950, the Peanuts comic strip by Charles M. Schulz was first published. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again tomorrow for more news. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform to stay up to date on the latest news. Until then, have a great day.